Freedom as foundation for moral. So in this one naman, ipapakilala ko sa inyo si Immanuel Kant. And he was a German philosopher and one of the central Enlightenment thinkers. He was born on April 7, 24 in Königsberg and died on February 12, 1804. So siya ay merong philosophy on freedom. So meron siyang mga principles and diniscuss siya with regards to freedom and also um many more. So para mas makilala natin siya, we have here a presentation. Let me show you guys. Guys. Nice. So, idol natin yan si ating vlog na chess. So, pakilala natin si Immanuel Kant and kung ano yung kanyang mga principles na
Categorical imperative.
sum up.
Morality, for Immanuel Kant, means acting in accordance with a categorical imperative. In fact, as is well known, for Kant, the categorical imperative is the supreme principle of morality. Hence, for Kant, an act is moral if it is done in accordance with a categorical imperative. Otherwise, it is non-moral or immoral. But what is the categorical imperative? First, as we know, an imperative is a command. For example, one may say, "Don't cheat," or "You have to fulfill your promises." Now, there are two types of imperative, namely hypothetical and categorical imperative. On the one hand, a hypothetical imperative is one that expresses a conditional command. For example, we may say, "If you want to become successful, then you have to work very hard." As we can see, this example poses a condition. That is, you only have to work very hard if you want to become successful. If you don't want to become successful, then you can just sit, lie, and relax. Now, on the other hand, a categorical imperative is one that expresses an absolute command. For example, we may say, "Do not cheat." As we can see, this command does not pose a condition, as it does not contain an if-then clause. Even if one is tempted to cheat, she ought not to, because she is commanded absolutely not to cheat. Now, to know more the nature and dynamics of the categorical imperative, we need to familiarize ourselves with some of the core concepts in Kantian ethics, namely, the idea of the good will, duty and the moral worth of an act, and the formulations of the categorical imperative. Let's talk first about the good will. According to Kant, the good will is the one that facilitates a human act. But what makes a good will good? Well, for Kant, a good will is good not because it produces good results, as in the case of pragmatic ethics, or greatest happiness to the greatest number of people, as in the case of utilitarian ethics, but it is good by virtue of its intrinsic value. The good will, therefore, is good without qualification. It is good without any condition. But how is the goodwill manifested? According to Kant, a goodwill is manifested when it is done for the sake of duty. Hence, in order for a goodwill to be called good without qualification, it must be done for the sake of duty. Let us take, for example, the will to help a friend. Kant would have us believe that if one expects something in return when someone helps a friend, then the will is not good without qualification, because it is not done for the sake of duty. But if someone helps a friend because she believes that it is her duty to do so, then for Kant, the will here is good without qualification, because it is obviously done for the sake of duty. Now, Kant says that the will is autonomous if it is self-legislating. Thus, the concept autonomy of the will means that it is not influenced by any outside factors. In other words, when a moral agent performs a particular act, her will is considered autonomous if she is not forced to do it. Next in this discussion is about duty and the moral worth of an act. And so Kant argues that duty should be the motive of any moral act. Inclination or self-interest can never be the motive of any moral act. This means, for example, that if a physician treats a patient, her motive should be duty. That is, the physician is moved to treat the patient because it is her obligation as a healthcare provider to treat the patient, and not the interest of profiting from the patient herself. For Kant, therefore, an act has moral worth, that is, moral, if it is done for the sake of duty. If an act is done out of self-inclination, then it has no moral worth, that is, immoral. It is interesting to note that, for Kant, sometimes an act is done in accord with duty. And for Kant, this act has no moral worth, though not necessarily immoral, because the act simply accords with duty. Indeed, it is not done for the sake of duty. As we can see, for Kant, there is a difference between actions that accord with duty, that is, actions that are done in accordance with duty, and actions that are done for the sake of duty. And again, for Kant, only those actions that are done for the sake of duty have moral worth. Now, lastly, let's talk about the formulations of the categorical imperative. Now, the first formulation of the categorical imperative is based on the principle of universality, and it reads, "Act only on that maxim whereby you can, and at the same time will, that it should become a universal law." Put differently, the principle of universality commands that every maxim someone acts on must be such that others are willing to make it the case, that everyone always acts on that maxim when in a similar situation. The idea here is that if the maxim, that is, the principle on which the moral agent acts, cannot be universalized, then the action has no moral worth. Let us consider, for example, the act of stealing the properties of the rich and distribute them to the poor. As we can see, the maxim, which is stealing or to steal in this case, cannot be universalized. Of course, even if someone is willing to steal, reason tells us that we cannot force all people to will the same. Hence, stealing is always impermissible according to the categorical imperative. Let us take another example. such as the act of helping a friend in times of need. The maxim, which is to help, is obviously universalizable because we can expect others to will the same. Hence, the act of helping a friend in times of need is morally right according to the categorical imperative. Now, the second formulation of the categorical imperative is famously called the formula of the end. Kant formulated the formula of the end as a response to his critics who lamented that the principle of universality is too strict. And so, the second formulation of the categorical imperative, which is based on the principle of humanity, reads: So act as to treat humanity, whether in your own person or in that of another, never as means, but always as an end. It is important to note that Kant believes that human beings have inherent value and should never be treated as means to a particular end. This is because, for Kant, if humans are treated as means, then they are reduced into things, or on the level of animals. Thus, for Kant, any act that treats humanity as a means is not morally right. Let us consider the example of cheating someone. For Kant, the act of cheating someone is absolutely immoral because this act treats others as means. That is, the other is treated as a thing. Needless to say, if we cheat on others, then we are treating them as means to our own selfish end. That's it for now. Thanks for watching another episode of our Whitebird edition here at Philo Notes. Full transcript of this video is for Kant. The category
And Immanuel Kant. Ayan. So from this, or from Immanuel Kant, ano yung ating mga natutunan sa kanya? So, according to Kant's philosophy and freedom, yan, so rights to choose one's conduct based on reason and not by design. Then we should abide by the rules they follow. And then we have limited independence due to the choice of others and coexisting with each other's freedom under universal laws. And that equality is the first and foremost among the various freedoms, and freedom is the only inherent an autonomous right for people to be happy in their own way. Intervention of another's freedom and exemplifies forcing others to be happy. And also, we also discussed dito yung goodwill. So, anong sabi ni Kant with regards to the goodwill? So, if ever daw, um, kanya parang intention ng goodwill is just to help others without getting anything in return, 'di ba? Kumbaga, obliged ka just to help other people. Hanggang hindi ka dapat pilihan and also hindi ka dapat mag-expect. Dapat tulungan ka, yun ang babalik. May babalik, I mean. 'Di ba? Kasi kapag ganun daw pala yun yung okay. So yun nga, yung goodwill. So yung goodwill natin is naka-base siya or naka-oblige. Kumbaga parang dapat yung intention niyo is clear na tulong. And also gano'n din yung sa mga, nasa medical profession, 'di ba? Dapat ang iniisip na din sila yung mga medical practitioners, dapat ang iniisip nila is to have, yung person na injured or whatever yung sakit, yun yung kanilang dapat iniisip para ma-consider sila as parang morally right, 'di ba? Kasi kapag inisip nila dun is yung kikitain nila ba, kaya na sige kinuha ko para may pambayad sila sa akin, may bayad ako gano'n, 'di ba? So 'pag gano'n pala ibig sabihin yung act na yun is immoral, mga gano'n. So yun yung, when it comes to goodwill. Ayan. And then next po is yan next naman natin is module 4. So what is culture and how does it define your moral behavior? So yan, according to Koha, culture is the root of human alienation from the environment, and it's not just a compilation of artifacts for reflection of people's preferences and appreciation of beauty. We've also added that the culture is derived from the Latin word cultus, which means giving respect to the sacredness of all. So originally, culture is not contrary to nature, but is commonly accepted as a human being's role in it. So yun na yung according kay Kohak. And then according naman kay Cole, so culture is a concept that refers to a broad and diverse collection of often intangible areas of social life. And according to sociologists, culture consists of ideas, beliefs, language system, communication, and behaviors that people have in common and that it can be used to describe individuals. Yan, so kung mapapansin nyo, um, di ba kagaya dito halimbawa sa Luzon, sa Philippines. So even though tayo ay nasa isang island, ganyan, or sa pinakamalaking pulo dito sa Pilipinas, hindi ibig sabihin na isa lang yung culture natin dito. So it varies depending on, ayan nga, so depending on the on how we communicate and yung mga beliefs na pinaniniwalaan natin and yung mga languages natin. 'Di ba? Kasi iba-iba din yung mga languages. Usually ay, halimbawa, gaya pag mga taga Visayas, kino-consider sila na parang mga Bisaya. So iba yung culture nila compared sa mga Tagalog, 'di ba? May ganun tayo, ano. And then also, ayan, culture also encompasses material objects which are special to the community or society. So culture is distinct from social structure and economic aspect of society, but it is related to them both by educating and updating them on an ongoing basis. So yun yung um, nasa base kay Cole. And then based naman kay Leather, it introduced culture as the collective knowledge and skills generated by a group of people to perceive, convey, and to the social realities encountered. And lastly is for Zimmerman. So explicated culture as the characteristics and awareness of a specific community of people, including language, religion, food, social behavior, etiquette, fashion, music, and ethics. So ito usually yung parang updated na version ng definition for the word. Ayan, so from the definitions above, of course, several characteristics were drawn. So culture is an analysis of items with cultural or historic context. Yan. And then culture is a remark of people's choices and information. And culture is in harmony with the environment and an individual has a role to play. Then culture is wider in scope as it includes beliefs, ideals, communication, language systems, behavior, and commonality of people within a group. And then we also have culture embraces material objects that are significant to a particular group or society. Culture is related to social structure and economic aspect of society. Then culture is a combination of the skills, talent, capacities, and artifices brought about by a group of people to look at relay messages and respond to their realities of social life. Then culture is the attributes and observation of particular group of people, which includes language, religion, social behavior, etiquette, fashion, music, and arts. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, meron kayong iba't ibang mga culture. So, yung mga example din yung mga ethnic groups natin. So, meron silang sariling culture at mga iba't ibang mga pinaniniwalaan, di ba? So, kasama yan kahit yung mga parang Tagalog. So, nasa kultura yun ng mga Pinoy, whatever yung mga national um, bansang kasuotan, ganyan. And then, ayan, so aside from that, so this is the influences of culture in moral development. And we have here five. So Lian and Gubiaon, Baring shared five points on how culture influenced the moral development of people, and these are the following. So the first one is it is always social and communal, by which the relationship of the people towards one another and their experience as people are the culture's medal. Yeah. And then next is the culture defines the normative principles and behaviors of society. So, kung mapansin ninyo, iba-iba yung so based dun sa culture natin, like for example, compare lang natin yung halimbawa ay sa Japan, 'di ba? Pag halimbawa kumain ka dun sa Japan ng mga noodles or yung mga ramen, supposed to be dapat kumain kayo dun para para ma-inform yung mga chef nila dun na masarap yung pagkain, dapat ay yung maingay ka kumain. Yung parang sagup-supan ka doon, 'di ba? So, dapat gano'n para malaman nila na nasasarapan ka sa luto nila, sa pagkain nila, ganyan. Pero 'pag ginawa mo yun dito sa Pilipinas na maingay kumain, parang sagup-supan, so parang maju-judge ka dito na parang ikaw ay ano, 'di ba, patay gutom, ganyan. Pero siyempre 'pag doon, kasi yun ang culture nila dun, 'di ba? So, halimbawa naman sa mga Pinoy naman, kasi parang dito sa Pilipinas normal lang yung nagkakamay ka habang kumakain, 'di ba? So, once na dalhin mo siya sa ibang bansa, 'di ba? Halimbawa sa Japan naman, ikaw naman nagkamay dun. So, parang nagkakamay ba sila dun? Parang hindi naman masyado, 'di ba? Kapag nagkamay ka sa ibang bansa, parang ikaw naman yung maju-judge na parang ano, ikaw ay disgusting, nakakaano ka, ganyan. So, yung mga gano'ng mga culture, and then ano pa ba? Yan. So, a culture as best exemplified in the experience of the people develops restriction and sets boundaries and limitations as they live and relate with one another. Yeah. And then next is as a culture helps generating the character and identify of its people. It also includes their moral character. Kaya so mapapansin din natin, yung mga Pilipino nadi-distinguish natin siya sa ibang mga race. So halimbawa na lang is ano daw resilient ang mga Pilipino, mga hospitable, 'di ba? Mga ganyan yung mga remarks natin ng um, mga foreigners. So, and then next naman is the culture identifies authorities or governing individuals or groups. Yeah. And then culture greatly influences the moral development of an individual. And now we're going to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of Filipino characters. So first one, so this is one of the characteristic of Filipino culture. So according to Dumaraos, he expounded some of the characteristics of the Filipinos, set them apart from any other culture and society. So the first one is the Filipino people are very resilient. Yan, tama po ba 'yun? So so nakikita natin yung pagiging resilient ng mga Filipino usually during times of calamity. So 'pag may mga bagyo, may mga sakuna, makikita natin dun na kahit gaano kahirap yung pinagdadaanan ng mga Pilipino, makikita niyo pa din na meron pa din silang time para ngumiti, lumaban, tinaningil, 'di ba? Kasi kung mapapansin ninyo gano'n pa din naman sa mga yung 'pag nanonood kayo ng mga news, makikita ninyo kahit bumabaha, matulungan yung 'pag natulungan sila super smile pa din nila. Even though na parang yung kinakaharap nila is super ano, sobrang hirap, 'di ba? Halimbawa 'pag yung time na lang yung ano, nung Yolanda, 'di ba, ng mga bagyong gano'n, yung malalakas talaga. May mga Pilipino na nawalan ng bahay, pero 'pag nakita mo sila, smile pa din sila, 'di ba? So gano'n ka-resilient yung mga Filipino. And of course, since tayo yung mga resilient, pumasok kayo sa BSU, 'di ba? Wala kayong choice kundi maging resilient to whatever hamon ng BSU ang ibigay sa inyo. 'Yan. So, nilagay sa module ninyo. And then next naman po na characteristic ng mga Pilipino ay Filipinos take pride in their families, ayun. So, 'di ba usually dito sa Pilipinas, parang hindi, kahit hindi pala sa Pilipinas lang, kahit sa barangay niyo lang, 'di ba usually kapag nalaman na parang, tinanong ka ng mga matatanda dun, "Sinong iyong inay? Sinong magulang mo?" Kasi ano yun, nabanggit mo yung iyong surname, parang malalaman, anak ka ni ganito, ni ganyan, di teacher yun, eh, di kayo magti-teacher din ngayon. Parang laging kabiyabit na ang inyong 'pag may minention ka na parang kakilala nila yung sa barangay ninyo, di ba? Parang maano nila na parang, yan yung mga lahi ng mga engineer, apelyido, ganyan. So, yung mga teacher yan, mga doktor yan, di ba mga gano'n? Wait lang guys. And then next is the Filipinos are very religious, which is true naman dahil kung mapapansin ninyo, parang every barangay laging dapat may simbahan, 'di ba? Hindi mawawala yung simbahan na everytime bukod ako sa mga iba't ibang barangay lagi meron yung mga simbahan. And also kung mapapansin ninyo yung ating mga holidays, usually siya ay mga related sa religion, 'di ba? Kasi nag-work ako dati sa US company and napansin ko walang mga gano'ng mga wala silang mga holiday-holiday na gano'n. Usually yung pinaka-major holiday lang nila is yung Thanksgiving, tas the rest nung mga holiday nila parang with respect to sa mga Independence Day, Labor Day, mga gano'n. Pero dito sa Pilipinas madaming mga holiday na related sa mga religion. Ano, halimbawa ay parang yung, Holy Week, yan. May Holy Week din naman sila sa ibang bansa pero hindi hindi yung super big deal kagaya sa mga Filipino, mga gano'n. Kaya mapapansin niyo na mga Filipinos ay very religious talaga. Ano pa ba? Yeah, so Filipinos are very respectful daw. So, paano nasabi, meron tayong mga 'yan, yung mga gestures natin ng mano po, tapos yung mga gumagamit tayo ng mga po at opo, na kung titingnan din ninyo ano, yung ating po at opo wala siyang English na equivalent ano, 'di ba, yes or no, oo, hindi lang naman yun, 'di ba, yung opo naman, eh, parang yes, pero in polite way lang yung opo, 'di ba? So, wala siyang equivalent na English. And ano pa ba? Next naman is, so next is yan, Filipinos help one another. So yung bayanihan. So mapapansin ninyo, kagaya nung ano po, nung pumutok yung bulkan ng Taal, diyan. So nakita natin yung mga Batanggenyo, how they help yung kapwa mga Batanggenyo din, 'di ba? Kung mapapansin ninyo ay ano, kasi ako naman ay naka-witness din do'n. So nagwo-work na rin ako that time. And then, luckily din naman dahil ako kasi taga-Lipa, so luckily hindi siya sakop dun sa mga lumilikas during, 'pag mga ganyang pumuputok yung tural. So, yung means namin since lucky na kami dahil hindi kami kami ng mga friends ko, lucky na kami na hindi kami natamaan ng mga nag-e-evacuate, ganyan. So, ang ginawa na namin is nag-help kami dun sa mga nasalanta. So, nagbibigay kami ng mga food, nagluluto, ganyan. Just to help them, 'yan. Kumbaga parang if you're not the one in need, ikaw na lang yung tumulong. Kasi mas gusto mo ba yung ikaw yung tutulungan or ikaw na lang yung magbibigay ng tulong, 'di ba? So, dapat tayo ay naggi-give na lang kasi usually 'Pag nagbigay kayo ng mga excess ninyo, usually ay bumabalik yan ng triple, 'di ba? Gano'n 'yun. Based on ano yan, based on experience. And then Filipino values, traditions, and culture. Ayun. Yan 'di ba sobrang dami nating ano, mga pamahiin na ano daw, ano yan, yung bawal maligo paggabi dahil ano daw, nakakaloka, mga gano'n, 'di ba? So, marami tayong mga pamahiin and yung mga cultures din natin, yeah. Especially naku po dahil kayong mga mechanical engineers diyan. So, if ever kayo ay makaka-graduate and magte-take ng board exam, naku sobrang dami na ninyong susunding mga pamahiin para kayo ay kasi wala din namang masama kung kayo susunod sa mga pamahiin dahil 'di ba, at least din ba yung ma-experience yung mga gano'n. So, marami ng pamahiin especially kapag magbo-board exam. Yung mga example nun, halimbawa ay dapat 'pag magte-take ka ng board exam, ang underwear mo ay red lang. Tapos ay so ngayon daw ay 3 days na yung exam. So, meron kayong 3 days ng board exam. Tapos yung inyong underwear na ginamit dun is all throughout nung exam na yun, yun pa din. Hindi mag-uulit kasi yun yung mga ano, ganun yung mga pamahiin. Bawal ka mag-ulit ng I mean bawal ka magpalit kasi baka umulit ka. Alam mo yun, basta dapat kung ano yung sinuot mo nung first day ng board exam, yun pa din yung suot mo hanggang matapos yung board exam. And then ito pang malala. So pagkatapos na ng board exam, 'di magpapalit ka naman ng damit. Papalit ka ng damit, ang hindi lang puwedeng palitan is yung underwear. So yung underwear na suot-suot mo nung 3 araw ng board exam, 'pag nag-antay ka ng result, yun pa din dapat yung suot mo. Eh, usually 3, um, 2 to 3 days, hindi 3 days onwards yung waiting time para lumabas yung result. So 'pag napatapat na weekends pa yung ano, hindi siya counted kasi 3 working days lang. So, during weekdays lang yung count nung results. Ibig sabihin 'pag Friday natapos yung third exam ninyo, third day ng exam, so may 2 days kayo na palugit. Tas 'pag Monday dun pala magka-count yung, unang araw sa pag-aantay ng result. So, a total of parang mga 8 days kayong yun naka-underwork. So, ganun yung mga pamahiin sa ano, yung mga pamahiin natin sa 'pag nag-board exam, mga ganyan. So, 'pag mga halimbawa nagte-take ka din ng board exam, kailangan mo sipain yung upuan na inupuan mo during exam at saka yung, ano yung gate yung school, mga ganyan. Tapos dapat ay pagtapos sa exam bawal lumingon, basta in the future ma-experience ninyo yan. Tas siyempre naman susunod ka dahil takot ka bumagsak, yan. And the next naman is Filipinos have the longest Christmas celebration. Yan, so kung mapapansin niyo basta pumatak ang Burr months, diyan kakanta na si Jose Marichan, yung ating mga Christmas decor. Naka-ano na 'yan, naka-automatic na. Tas after naman matapos ang Pasko, saka 'yan lilikumin hanggang ano pa ulit, dadaan ng January, February pa malilikom ulit 'yan. Yung mga Christmas decoration na ganyan, 'di ba, 'yan. Pero sa aming bahay ano, hangga't buhay pa yung Christmas lights, sige go lang. Kasi 'di ba uso na ngayon yung mga solar lights, 'yan. So hangga't ika'y buhay pa diyan, walang tanggalan 'yan, ayan. And then eto, Filipinos love art and architecture, true po ba 'yan? Sabi ng estudyante ko kanina, so parang true naman daw dahil yung sa mga simbahan parang na-appreciate daw nila yung mga design sa simbahan, mga ganyan. Gano'n din ba kayo guys? And then eto this one, so the Filipinos are, hospitable people, which is true naman 'di ba? Imagine niyo na lang 'pag halimbawa kayo may overnight kayo sa mga bahay ng mga friends ninyo, mga kaklase niyo 'di ba? 'Pag nandun yung mga parents sabihin, eh, "Kumain na kayo mga ini." "Ay siya pakainin niyo yan, bumili soft drinks sa tindahan." Ganyan lagi ng utos sa mga anak ni 'di ba? Dahil ano parang hindi pa kayo ano, 'pag hindi kayo kumain ginaganyan pa kayo para kayong talagang gano'n Gano'n talaga yung mga ano, yung ating kagisnan 'pag tayong mga pumupunta sa ibang bahay ano, kumbaga parang super welcome tayo, 'yan. Mm. And then, 'yan. So ito naman, mali spelling. So these are the weaknesses naman of Filipino character. So extreme personalism, 'yan. So extreme, siyempre 'pag laging mga extreme, talagang masama siya, 'di 'yan. So based on this, drawing, ano yung napapansin niyo? So meron tayo ditong pare, tapos may lalaki dito nagsusuka ng rainbow, ayan. So ganyan yung mga social issues natin na related dito sa personalism. Pero more on yung mga masyadong pame-personal. Ano, parang halimbawa ay, with this one, ang interpretation ko dito is ayan, so sa religion ta's may mga LGBT, ibig sabihin so bahala kayo mag-interpret diyan, ayan. And then next naman is extreme family centeredness. So of course again, extreme, may term na extreme, so ibig sabihin yung mga sobra-sobra ano. So ano yung example natin for this one, parang ang dating dito is yung mga ano, yung parang yung mga anak, so kung mapapansin niyo ito si mommy, si daddy, and then ang daming anak. So parang, since extreme family centeredness, yung mga anak is usually ginagawa nilang mga retirement, funds. So that parang mga mindset ng ibang mga parents is anak lang tayo ng anak, para tayo ay may mag-aalaga sa'tin in the future. Yan, gano'n yung mga mindset ng iba, na kumbaga parang after nila mapag-aral yung mga anak nila, "Okey kayo ng bahala dahil kayo naka-graduate, bahala na kayo sa amin at o kaya bahala naman kayo sa mga kapatid ninyo, kayo na magtuloy diyan." Which is yun pala is one of the weaknesses of Filipinos. Kasi supposed to be dapat after graduation, parang instead of focusing sa family mo, wala namang masama yun, yung tumulong sa ang masama lang dun is yung 'pag super extreme, parang instead of, kasi usually 'di ba gano'n tayo dapat 'pag tayo ay magbibigay ng something sa parents, yun ay parang galing na lang sa heart. Parang, "Thank you so much for appreciate kung hindi niyo po ginawa 'to is, hindi ko ma-achieve yung mga nangyari sa'kin." Dahil yung mga gano'ng sacrifices naman is obligation naman kasi ng parents. Dahil siyempre hindi naman natin gusto na mabuhay tayo sa mundong 'to, 'di ba? Kaya dapat hindi tayo inoobliga na tayo ang tumulong. Pero of course, since tayong mga Filipino, parang iniisip natin na, "Okey, I'll take this, obligation to help my family, to help my brothers and sisters to achieve at or makapagpatapos man lang ng pag-aaral," 'di ba? So, mga gano'n. Pero siyempre hindi to extend na maging extreme na kumbaga parang instead of mafi-feel mo na mafo-fulfill ka dahil natutulungan mo yung family mo, parang nafi-feel mo na siya ay isang burden, 'di ba? So, magkaiba yun, yung parang yung tulong na parang nafo-fulfill ka and yung nafi-feel mo na parang burden yung nabibigay sa'yo ng family. So, yun dun papatak yung extreme family centeredness, okey? So, yun yung isang weakness pala ng Filipino. Okey, and then next naman is yung lack of discipline, ayan, kuha sa picture, yan kita niyo yan, Moray, tas sa Manila naman 'to. Bawal daw tumawid pero sina girl super tawid, naka-uniform pa, 'di ba? So ganyan ga din kayo din sa may labas ng GCH, 'di ba, may mga bawal tumawid diyan, may mga overpass hindi ginagamit, 'yan. And then yung mga bawal umihi dito, naku po ha girls, bawal umihi dito nakalagay tas iihi ang girls sa cannot be, chares. So bawal din yung mga gano'n, may nakalagay na bawal umihi dito pero umihi pa din. Very Pinoy nga naman, eh, ano, and then ano pa, 'yan, so yung passivity and lack of initiative. So usually yung mga Pinoy daw is yung mga parang happy-go-lucky lang, go with the flow, yan daw yung mga isa sa mga weaknesses ng mga Filipinos. Mga tamang mga sabi-sabi lang, ganyan. And then yung colonial mentality. So, kung mapapansin niyo dito, yung mga ayan, may mga ayan, kung mapapansin ninyo may mga label sila dito. Tapos parang nagiging, tinuturuan tayo nung ito Akals, parang nakadamit siya ng USA, ito yung design. Ano, and then nandito yung ibang mga parang mga proper, para tayong kinuwawa naman din. Dahil may Philippines po dun sa may part na yun, ano. Yeah, so yan, weakness din daw ng Filipino yung mga colonial mentality. And then yung kanya-kanya syndrome, yung mga ugaling palangka, yung naghihilahan, baba, yan, mga weaknesses ng mga Pinoy yan. And then lack of self-analysis and reflection. So yan din, isa din yan sa weakness ng mga Filipino na kung mapapansin niyo saka lang sila magre-reflect kapag malapit na silang or kapag nangyari na yung dapat iwasan. Like yung mga sinasabi natin nasa huli ang pagsisisi, mga gano'n. So halimbawa is sa school na lang, kapag 'di ka parang, um, halimbawa sa school o mapapansin niyo na parang nahihirapan na kayo sa subject, so saka niyo lang mare-realize na mag-aral tuwing mga ano na, 'pag yung malapit na ang schedule ng exam, 'di ba? For example ay ano at saka maraming mga tao yung parang mga walang pake, kagaya dito sa klase na 'to, mga tinatanong hindi nagsasagot, charot. Yan mga kulang sa self-analysis and reflection. Tama ba yung pag-stay dito sa call na 'to, pero hindi naman ako nonchalant lang ako sa klase, mga ganyan, 'di ba? Parang hindi ako attentive. Dapat mga may self-analysis kayo. Ano bang purpose ko, bakit ako umattend dito? Umattend lang ba ako para siyempre antukin ako ngayon, charos. Antukin ako ngayong oras na 'to para makatulog ako agad. Mga ganyan ba yung mga reasoning ninyo? Dapat hindi gano'n. And ayun, so yun yung mga weaknesses, mali lang ang spelling. So yun yung mga weaknesses ng mga Filipino. Some of weaknesses lang pala, yeah. And then next naman is the cultural relativism. So cultural relativism, so the definition of cultural relativism stated above are summarized to the following. So in cultural relativism, no one can judge a society by their standards and the principle of right or wrong, eccentric or natural. So ibig sabihin daw in cultural relativism, since meron tayong iba't ibang mga culture, hindi natin siya masasabi na yung standard ng isang culture na 'to is good or this is wrong, or this is bad, or not. And then people must understand other societies' cultures. So of course, since iba-iba nga tayo ng culture, we just need to respect everyone na lang who's have another culture from us, 'di ba? And then in cultural relativism, the aim is to strengthen our knowledge and interpretation of the practices and cultural traditions that are not part of our culture and that not uncommon to other cultures. Especially kung mapapansin natin na may pagkakaiba yung ating culture sa ganito, siyempre nagkakaroon tayo ng knowledge and understanding na, okey sa ganito palang lugar or sa mga ganitong paniniwala, iba yung kanilang take compared sa kung ano yung ginagawa namin sa culture natin. Yun. And then next naman is cultural relativism is a moral theory that claims the idea of no objective, universal moral rules that would apply to every culture and it varies depending on the culture of the society. So yung sinasabi kasi ng universal moral rules is yung lahat ng tao is acceptable yung pagiging good nung mga ganong gawain. So for example, nung mga universal moral rules natin is do not lie, yung bawal ang cheating, mga ganon, di ba? Pero dito sa cultural relativism, hindi natin siya maja-judge. Like for example, sa mga Muslim, 'di ba 'pag nag-aasawa sila usually puwede sa kanila yung mga polygamy. Pero as a Catholic, parang against siya dun sa inyong, moral rules, 'di ba, na parang kung nag-asawa ka dapat monogamous lang. Dapat isa lang, isang partner lang. Tama ba yung mga Katoliko isa lang charos. Yeah, so supposed to be ganun ang mangyayari, 'di ba? And then yun, so yun is one of our cultural relativism. So let's just respect each and every other culture that and then this is the pros and cons of cultural relativism. So it creates learning opportunities that could make humanity stronger since we have different cultures nga and then upon learning or understanding whatever culture yung makikita natin, we have to respect it and observe kung ano lang yung kaya ninyong i-take, edi yun ang i-take ninyo. Especially kapag, yun nga, if you have plans to go abroad, mag-work there, to live there, syempre, ang nakasanayan niyo yung culture sa Philippines. So if ever kayo pumunta sa ibang bansa, be observant muna kasi dapat hindi ka makaka-offend ng ibang tao. Ano, dahil usually ganun naman nangyayari. Kung sino yung um, pumunta do sa isang lugar, siya dapat yung mag-a-adjust. Hindi yung mga taong nandodoon na yung mag-a-adjust for you. 'Di ba ganun yun ano? Like for example, nagpunta kayo ng BSU, parang hindi niyo alam kung anong ganap dito, 'di ba? First year kayo, hindi niyo alam anong ganap dito, parang siyempre ay before kayo pumasok ng BSU parang yung parang you feel na, "Ang talino ko, shit, super talino." Sobrang, matalino talaga ako, ganyan. Ta's pagdating mo sa ano, sa BSU nagpa-exam agad ang teacher, na-culture shock ka na parang, "Oh my God, akala ko matalino na ako." Pagdating ko dun parang, "Ano nangyari sa'kin?" 'Di ba? So, dapat mo i-assess ko yung sarili mo. Parang, okey, hindi pala lahat ng ano, in-expect ko from before is ganito yung mangyayari. Tama po ba yun? Nakaka-relate ba kayo dun? Huwag kayong mag-alala, hindi lang kayo naka-feel ng gano'n. Na pagdating niyo ng BSU parang ano, parang, "Ang bobo ko pala, hindi pala ako matalino." Hindi lang kayo yung ganyan, trust me. Pero as long as, yun nga pinaniniwalaan niyo na maka-graduate kayo, kaya niyo mag-ano dito, isipin niyo na lang na, yung iba nga kinaya ako pag, 'di ba? Yun na lang isipin niyo lagi. For sure na may mga kakilala kayo na parang on your ano ka, "Ba't yung ina ko nakapasa doon sa school niyo?" Kasi yan din yung isa kong motivation dati nung nag-aaral ako. Kilala ko si ano, ba't yun yung nakapasa doon, eh, mas parang mas alam mo naman ako dun. Yung kino-compare mo yung sarili mo, pero parang gina-gaslight mo lang din yung sarili mo dahil from what you're experiencing right now na parang hirap na hirap ka, may isip mo kinaya nun, kaya ko din yun, mas matalino naman ako dun, 'di ba? So ganun lang gawin mo para maka-survive ka sa engineering, yan. And then next is it eliminates, the concept of separate but equal. And then there will be actions taken that would be defined by some as violent, unsafe, or wrong. So isang example ng culture is yung sa China, tandaan niyo gayon, yung ano, yung parang festival na yung aso kinakatay, gano'n. 'Di ba may mga festival na gano'n sa China yung parang kinakain nila yung mga aso. So yun, yung mga culture na gano'n, yung parang, tina-tag nila na parang violent, masyadong crucial, mga gano'n. So yung mga gano'n, hindi lang kumbaga parang, gusto nilang parang abolish yun kasi it harms the, animals, ganyan. And then it creates a system of niche expertise that it is based on the concept that people are perfect and then it creates a personal bias. So ito yung ano, cons nito. And ito naman yung pros, encourages respect. Yan. So yun naman talaga dapat na especially kapag magkakaiba tayo ng mga pinaniniwalaan, you have to respect na. So if ever hindi mo kayang respect and then don't say anything na lang, 'di ba? Less mistakes para ano, para kung okey walang gulo, puwede na lang email. Maging nonchalant na lang, 'di ba? Kapag halimbawa hindi ka sumang-ayon dun sa, opinion ng iba, 'di just dedma na lang, gano'n. And then it eliminates the idea that reform or change can be a good thing. Yeah. Kasi change naman is permanent. Yun lang yung permanent sa mundo, yung change. Ayan. So yun yung ating mga, na-discuss for cultural relativism. And ayan. So since yan, ang dami tayong masyadong na-discuss and may time pa tayo, hindi ko na lang kayo bibigyan ngayon ng, gawain. Tapos yun na po ba yung pinagagawa ko sa inyo kahapon? Tapos yun na po ba yung pinapagawa ko sa inyo kahapon? So, ayan. So, hindi ko na muna ibibigay ng gawain ngayon. Pakitapos na lang nung pinapagawa ko kahapon. And bukas na lang ako magbibigay sa inyo ng gawain. Okay. Mabigla kayo nasayad. Nagbigay ng gawain bukas. Ayan. Ayan. So, ayun pala, before we end this class, may question po kayo. May question po. Eh, wala na kayong question. So, if wala na po kayong question, that's all for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you po. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
See you later.
Thank you po.